Okay, in the last video we were talking about Nietzsche as an atheist and therefore a nihilist and a relativist, or a relativist and a nihilist. Nothing is true. Nothing is objectively moral or objectively good and bad. And moreover, nothing means anything. There is no meaning to reality. We're on this planet by accident. There's no meaning to my life or to your life. We've made that up subjectively, not objectively. Those are two terms, by the way. Subjective just means my opinion. Objective means real. So there's no objective meaning to the world. Not to say that we can't find meaning in the world or make it up or cook it up. But from that, Nietzsche thinks that what's really behind things then, if there's no morality and if there's no truth and if there's no meaning, is power. So if you strip away the artifacts or the elements of Western culture, what's really left behind the scenes is power or power plays. Okay, so when you get rid of morality, when you get rid of God, when you get rid of objective meaning, of truth, what's really at stake is, or what's really at play to understand the world. How do you understand the world? It's all about power, or what he calls will to power. And this means Nietzsche, by his own admission, is a hermeneut of suspicion. So Nietzsche practices the hermeneutics of suspicion. The hermeneutics of suspicion. Hermeneutics is just a term from Greek. Hermeneut means interpretation, and suspicion means obviously suspicious. So it means you're interpreting the world suspiciously. A hermeneut, or the hermeneutics of suspicion, is interpreting the world suspiciously. How is he doing that? He's basically saying, when you show me an artifact of Western culture, and Nietzsche is a critic of Western culture. This is the key idea. Nietzsche is a critic of Western culture, particularly Judeo-Christianity. And he's saying when you look at Western culture suspiciously, you find that behind religion and behind morality is really power. Religion is just a power play. Morality is just a power play. So when people argue politically about morality, when they argue in religious arguments about things, or even when they argue about what's true and what's false, they're engaging in power. And Nietzsche thinks behind all of Western culture is power. This is the key idea. A hermeneutic of suspicion. The hermeneutics of suspicion means a suspicious interpretation. Nietzsche is a suspicious interpreter of Western culture, and he's trying to really understand what's behind the scenes in Western culture. And what's behind the scenes is power. And so the hermeneutics of suspicion of Nietzsche is to say, or how to philosophize with the hammer, is to take your hammer and boom, like a tuning fork, sound out what's really the hidden power structures behind the cultural artifacts of Western culture. So how do you really understand things? You really look for the power play behind things. So it's basically saying that, well, whenever you say something, whenever you do something, under the guise of morality or under the guise of politics, and this applies to everything, you don't really mean what you're saying or what you're doing. It's really a power move. Religion is really a power move. God is really a power move, okay? Morality is really a power move. It's all about getting power. And he thinks this fits nicely with the Darwinian idea of the will to life, or the survival instinct. The survival instinct is really the will to power, the will to life. And he thinks this survival instinct, this Darwinian survival instinct, is really the will to power. It's just trying to survive. It's the will to life, the will to power, trying to assert yourself as powerful. And this is how to understand Western culture. This is how to understand your moral, existential, meaningful predicament right now, is power. How do we understand the world? We understand the world. We strip away the top layer of appearance and we get to the reality of power, the will to power.